Story time. This is the first time I genuinely felt afraid of having sickle cell. I would say, oh, I have sickle cell, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I know someone who died from that. Hello, hey everyone, welcome in. My name is Creatively Anzy and welcome to my creative corner of YouTube. Happy Disability Awareness Day. It's not today, but it was a few days ago, but here we are. I have sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is an inherited blood disorder that affects your red blood cells. So instead of your red blood cells to be soft, flexible, donut shaped, instead they are sticky, hard, sickle shaped, that's a banana shape. And because of this mutation, it causes a whole host of problems like organ damage, organ failure. It also, you get sickle cell crisis, that's when they clump together in your blood vessels and causes all of those problems. When I was growing up, I always, whenever sickle cell was mentioned, whenever I told someone I had sickle cell, they would always react negatively to it. For example, I would say, oh, I have sickle cell, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I know someone who died from that. Like, what? Or my auntie was just like, when she found out I had sickle cell, she was like, oh, you know, in Ghana, they call people with sickle cell the children who come and go, because there was such a high infant mortality rate. There's children who come, you shouldn't get attached to them because they're going to die anyway. I'm like, these are the stories I heard about sickle cell when I was growing up. And so I was very anti-sharing anything negative about sickle cell. So even if I wasn't feeling well and someone asked me how I am, I'm like, oh, I can't complain, or I'm getting better kind of thing. And I just like to share only positive stories about sickle cell. I triumphed over sickle cell. But I also want to temper those positive stories, which I also continue to share, with some of the times when sickle cell was very difficult for me and I will still triumph. So, story time. This is the first time I genuinely felt afraid of having sickle cell. If I'm a sickle cell superhero, then sickle cell is my arch nemesis. You know, it's a worthy adversary and it plays its role very well. And don't get me wrong, I respect sickle cell's awesome power, but I've never been afraid of it until what happened that time. And if you know me, you know I feel like I'm optimized into handling sickle cell and our combats that we have. I know all of sickle cell's tricks. I know every weapon that it can throw at me. That's me knowing all of my triggers. Now, a trigger is something that can trigger a sickle cell crisis. So if it's cold, for example, that can trigger a crisis. If you're stressed, if you have different things can trigger a crisis. I know all my triggers. The list is very long, but I know the triggers. I eat healthy. I have low impact exercise. I meditate to keep my stress down. I will even remove myself from a situation that is making my heart beat too much. For example, even if this is a good thing, like, oh, this is so exciting, like, oh, hold on, wait, sickle cell looking over my shoulder? No, I will go into a different situation and also distressing. If something is distressing, then I will also go into because that's how you want to avoid a crisis as much as possible. Like a crisis is you want to be over there. If a crisis here, that's how far you want to be. So I know all of my triggers and I'm very optimized. I drink 4 liters of water. I would say I'm very optimized to dealing with sickle cell. This doesn't mean I don't get crisis every day. Let me rephrase. This doesn't mean that I don't have pain every day. So every day sickle cell lets me know, we are living this life together, you and I. I'm like, cool. But it's low level crisis that I can deal with every single day. Every single day I still get pain. But this is pain that's manageable. It's not like higher levels, like, oh, this is like, you take my whole day out. It's maybe a few moments of the day. But every day sickle cell lets me know, we're in this thing together, which is fine. But because of the lifestyle that I've led, I haven't had a major crisis in a while, a very long while, years I want to say. That has to take me to the hospital. So I thought I would never have that again because I'm optimized now. I know all of sickle cell's tricks. When it throws it at me, I throw that back. But but one day I had and this is the day that I started to fear sickle cell. I had a 10-10. Now, that's a crisis. That is the crises of all, the end all crises. A 10-10 is like the worst thing you can ever experience. And everyone who has sickle cell's worst fear, that is, you could die crisis. And every time I think I've had a 10-10, I think I've almost died. But a 10-10 is, the reason why I call it a 10-10 is the first 10 is because of the pain score. You know when you're like sick and the doctor's like, oh, what's your pain score? Is it 1? Is it this? Is it that? And you're just like, it's a 10. And I mean, and you're like, it's a 10. So it's a 10 as in on the pain score. But when I say a 10, I really mean it's infinity, because I will be like, this pain is a 10. And then the pain will get worse. Okay, this pain is 11. Then the pain will get, this pain is so, but the previous pain, I was like, that still felt like a 10 to me. So I want to say it's infinity pain. The second 10 is where it is. So sometimes you'll have it's a 10, but it's in your arm. It's a 10, but it's in your leg. So it's just localized to that side. But a 10-10 is everywhere, every part of your body, everywhere the blood flows is what you're experiencing. So I'm talking about like the tips of my fingers. My fingers were so swollen, which is why I don't wear rings, by the way, to like your head. Imagine the worst migraine you've ever had in your life. The head feels like it's going to pop off. There's so much pressure and pain in your head. To the tips of your toes. Your toes are swollen. I've had my feet be so swollen because of sickle-cell. They had to cut my ankle boots off my feet. Your whole body is aflame. And all you are is pain. That is a 10-10. And usually a 10-10, it's like there's foreshadowing for a 10-10. Like I got a 10-10 when I got pneumonia. So I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna get a 10-10 soon. I got a 10-10 when I had a really bad chest infection. So a 10-10 came there. And you can get a 10-10 if you've been low level health for a while. So if for a month, maybe you've been quite sick, a 10-10 can come. What I'm saying is it's usually something you can almost see on the horizon coming, like, hold on. But I forgot about the wild card. Now, I didn't think I forgot, I just didn't realize. So you can, like I said, all your triggers that you know and everything. Then there's the wild card. You can be doing everything all right and then have a crisis just because that's sickle-cell. Like sickle-cell's like, you know, today I think I'll have a crisis. But the wild card is never higher than a 7 or an 8 in pain and is usually localized. So I've never had a wild card. So sometimes I get like, I'm doing so well and then a wild card will appear. I'm like, oh, but look, I told you the 10-10 is like, the wild card cannot call a 10-10, like in the deck, you know? But this 10-10 was out of the blue. Didn't see it coming, didn't believe I was actually having this crisis. I was like, is this actually happening to me whilst I was having the crisis? And it was horrifying. I was in Ghana at the time, so, you know, on holiday, like, hello? So rushed to a clinic and it was deteriorating so rapidly. And I was just like, okay, you know, I was scared as well because I was like, where did this come from? And the whole time my family were like, you were very calm during that whole situation. I was calm for 2 reasons. One, because my mum was hysterical. I couldn't give it to fear while she was just doing all the fear for us. And 2, because if this was it, I didn't want to, you know, I don't want my last moments to be like, oh yeah, like I'm just. And I remember in the night, my second day was the nurse said to the doctor, she was like, she's dying, you know. And I was just like, oh, like I was just very calm, you know. And maybe also this isn't the first time I almost died. And I think that my calmness scared my sister into like galvanizing all the family. Like, we have to look all of this sort of stuff to get me to my usual team that takes care of me. And I got kicked off the flight. We tried to board. No, I just told you I'm dying. But I don't look like I am. But then that's the thing that's a bit nefarious with sickle cell. You could be dying, which I was, but you look absolutely fine still. Which was why I was like with the airline. So like, this is a picture of like what I look like. I'm going to show it. And it's just, do I look sick? Do I look sick to you? I just look like I'm tired. But actually, count down the minutes. And so my sister was like still on her job, and just like we booked another flight. This was the second time. Like the money we spent, geez, most expensive flight we've ever paid, by the way, got me back to the UK, rushed straight to the hospital from the airport. But I still wasn't out of the woods yet, because sometimes even when you are at the hospital, it's not like the first day I got there, the second day I was worse, because it's just like, oh my God, there's so many things wrong. But obviously, you know, I got better and stuff like that. Physically, I got better. I was fine. Mentally, oh my days. Mentally, mental health was in the bin. And I started to spiral, because I was just like, I was never prepared for, I thought I knew this monster that I face every day, but I don't. And it's just like, at any moment of my life, Sickle-Cell can come in and just storm through the house, put its muddy boots on the kitchen room table, and just like, yeah. There's nothing I can do about that. And I think that's what I don't like about having a chronic illness, is that it takes away your autonomy. You know, when you're sick, when you're that sick as well, it's like you're not even a person anymore. You're reduced to a thing in a bed. I couldn't do anything. Like I could barely breathe. Breathing was being done for me. I was just existing. I wasn't living my life. Like I just felt like that little girl again who didn't know anything about sickle-cell really, and was just sick all the time, no matter what I did. And I was just like, all that I fought for can just be snatched away by sickle-cell at any time it chooses. And it was like, I mean, obviously I had to go back in therapy, because hello. And so I was telling my therapist all of this, lamenting over like, oh my God, like I can't believe this, all I've worked for, like my drinking 4 liters is so difficult, doing all of this, being healthy, being this, being that. And then just to get a 10-10, 5 years. And he was like, 5? You haven't had a 10-10 in 5 years? And I was like, yeah, it is. And he was just like, he repeated it a few times. You haven't had a 10-10 in 5 years because of the lifestyle you lead. And I was like, he was like, those are amazing odds. And I was reflecting on what he was saying. And it reminded me of a time I was in hospital, and there was this lady, another patient opposite me, and she had appendicitis. She'd had her appendix removed, and she was like, it was her first time in hospital. She hated it. She's like, oh, I hate that. The food is bad, this, that. She was just like raging, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And then the nurse came in and was like, laughed, and she was just like, why are you even complaining to her, as in me? Because I'm a lifer. That's what she called me. And I was just like, at the time I was very offended by the term. I still kind of am. But it made me think about my relationship with sickle-cell. And like, I'm not like that woman who is, if she plays her cards right, never has to be in hospital again. I'm not a healthy person that is sometimes sick, like she is. I'm a sick person that if I play my cards right, I eat healthy, I drink water, I keep my stress down, all of that sort of stuff, I can enjoy healthy times. 5 years, that's how long it took the wild card to get me. Those are amazing odds, you know? And so it's like all that I've done is not for nothing. It's for everything. It's for being able to go on holiday. It's for being able to enjoy so many different things in life. To be able to have some autonomy. For the most majority of my life, I will have control, and I will be beating sickle-cell. And like I said, I'm a sickle-cell superhero. And so, you know, it just really taught me that, yeah, it was a difficult time, but I'm glad I overcame it, and I had that reflection and insight into, okay, this is my new mindset right now, you know, and this is how I'm going to go forward. Which I'm glad, because, you know, I'll take those odds, 5 years, any day of the week. And, you know, I'm glad I'm here, and I'm so much stronger than I was even previously, because now I know you have the wild card. Now I know you've showed your hand. And like, to all my sickle-cell superheroes out there, you know, I pray you never take your cape off. I know it's not easy what we do, but it's necessary, and you are more than your illness. despite being sick and all of this sort of stuff, you're still strong, you're still a superhero, you're all these things. You're not defined by an illness. It's part of your story, it's not the whole book. So yeah, thank you so much, and also thank you to my family and the doctors. My goodness, thanks to them. So yeah, thanks guys for watching, I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Bye guys.